Hello, it's Judith here with this week's video. A little later this week because I've been struggling a little bit with jet lag. I didn't expect it as there was only 3 hours time difference, but I've had it, so I've been struggling just a little bit with getting things done. So better late than never, I hope. And this week I want to talk about overwhelm, because people who contact me for help often talk about being overwhelmed, feeling overwhelmed, and it's quite a commonly used term. So I thought to start with, I'd look it up, and I found the results quite interesting. So if you're talking about what clients would come to me to talk about, it's being overwhelmed by a feeling or an event that affects you very strongly and you don't know what to do about it, which is a pretty good definition, I think. But the other one, which was for a more physical type of overwhelm, was bury or drown beneath a huge mass of something. Now, that something could be water or earth or whatever. But actually, that really works well for me in terms of emotional or mental overwhelm. Being buried or drowned beneath a huge mass of something. So that something could, as the previous definition said, be a very, very strong emotion. It can also relate to just having too much to do and not enough time to do it, which for me personally can be a real panic state, that you just don't, you literally are being overwhelmed by a lot of some things, lots to do. And you're in that state where you can't think about what you should do first. And I don't know about you, but I try doing six things at once, and that doesn't work terribly well either, because you do none of them quickly or efficiently. So what I do in that case, and what I recommend in all cases, is as an initial way of handling it, is just to stop and breathe. Deep, slow breaths, breathing from right down in your belly, breathing in for 6 and out for 6 if you can. If you can't, go as far as you can on the in-breath and just make sure the out-breath is at the same length. So if you only get to 4 in, do 4 out. And you'll find if you keep going gradually, you will get to 6. And it just makes everything stop. It's almost like the eye of the storm. There's a little moment of calm in there, which enables you to think, okay, how am I going to tackle this? It enables your conscious mind to get a word in and actually say, how am I going to tackle this? It may be that you are able to prioritize. It may be that you just have to get some help, delegate, whatever you can do. But it stops the panic, because once we're in that panic mode, I don't mean a full-on panic attack, but in that I'm just not going to get this done. I'm just not going to get it all done in time, and I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to stay up all night. I'm sorry, that's just me talking. It gets you out of that panicky state so that you can think and decide what to do. The other thing that comes out of the original definition, being overwhelmed by a feeling or an event that affects you very strongly and you feel you don't know what to do about it, is obviously, first thing is the breathing, just to get you into a better state. But secondly, you may need to spend some time thinking how you're going to deal with this. So again, it's getting you out of the panicky state and saying, what do I want to do about this? So in NLP, we talk about, it's not what happens to me that matters. It's how I choose to respond to it. Now, the problem we have with that is that we all have some pre-created triggers. So we all have little habitual ways of reacting to something that's happened, or something that somebody said that's upset us, or whatever. And that happens just like that. And so what the breathing does is to give you literally a breathing space to say, okay, I don't want to respond in the reactive way, either because this is too big or it doesn't work, which it often doesn't. It's just become a habit, and it's not actually helpful. But as I say, that breathing literally gives you a breathing space to say, what do I want to do about this? Now, it may be that in that breathing space, you can think about what to do, because there may be a practical response to what's happened. It may be in that breathing space you feel you need more, and it may be you need help, because this thing has overwhelmed you so much that even though you've calmed yourself down a little bit, you just genuinely do not know how to respond. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And it's okay to need help in that situation. And the quicker you get help, the better, because sometimes people leave this too long and let it just grows and digs itself deep and buries itself, and it begins to have an effect on your whole life. So if you're in that extreme state where you really don't know what to do, then please, please, please seek some help. Sometimes there's something you can do for yourself. And sorry, quick phone call interrupter. I teach everybody who comes to see me some techniques to help them with whatever it is they're currently dealing with and may have to deal with again. And so in my case, I would, if after I'd calmed myself down, got myself out of the habitual reaction, got myself out of the panic state of, I really, really do not know how to respond to this, I would, as soon as possible, go and do self-hypnosis. And I find self-hypnosis very useful as a way of... The phrase that comes to mind is getting inside myself, which sounds very odd, but I'll use it anyway. Getting out of my head and giving myself a calm place to just ask the question, what do we do about this? There are lots of me in there. What do we do about this? What do I want to do about this? And often the answer comes if you ask the question. Often the answer is there, but we're in such a panic and so overwhelmed, buried, drowned by what's going on, that it's not possible for the answer to come. But if you can get yourself into a quiet state as you do, and a calm state as you do by going into self-hypnosis, I use it for that most of all nowadays. You could talk to somebody that you trust and get another opinion on it, because when you are in this state of being buried or drowned, you literally can't see the wood for the water or the mud or whatever, and somebody else can perhaps see it differently. So there are ways of dealing with it. But I suppose my fundamental message, and it's a message that I give a lot in different contexts, is if you don't know how to deal with it, if you do feel you are absolutely buried underneath this thing that's happened, that you are just completely submerged and don't know what to do, then reach out and seek some help as soon as possible, because a common coping mechanism is, and people come and talk to me and they're proud of doing it, and I was proud of doing it at one time, is to bury it, as if you're not already buried enough, but literally to put it away in a corner somewhere and forget about it. Because you don't know what to do about it, so what's the point of thinking about it? This is the logical brain thinking. And I, at one time, had this very strong sense that what I'd got was it always was a pirate's chest, with, brass around it and chains around it and padlocks and everything. which is where I put the stuff that I didn't know how to deal with or didn't want to deal with or whatever. And that can work. It can work for years and years, but it's a very dangerous response because what is in that chest leaks. And again, what I have done in the past and what people tend to do is, changing metaphors now, sorry, is it's almost like a pressure cooker. So it's all in this pressure cooker and you just have to undo it a little bit and let off a bit of steam. So you will have little instance where you are uncontrollably weeping or shouting and screaming in anger or whatever it is you do, or maybe both. So, and you're just letting off a little bit of pressure, just unscrewing it a bit, letting off a bit of steam, and then you can screw it back down again. And that can go on for years, but it's not a good way to be, as I learned. And ultimately, there's always a risk that the whole thing's just going to explode and you're going to have a complete and utter breakdown of some kind where you literally can't function properly anymore. So overwhelm can be a practical thing, like too much to do, which is horrendous at the time, but hopefully can be resolved in some way, right the way through to this really serious problem that you don't know what to do with it, so you literally park it somewhere, sit upon it, and are continually damaged in some way by it until you deal with it. And so the sooner you deal with it, the better. And as I usually say when I'm doing these things, if any of that sounds familiar, if you are aware of a little pressure cooker or chest or cave or anything in your mind, which is where you've put all the stuff you don't know what to do with, then now's the time to seek some help and deal with it. Because actually, it is a lot easier to deal with than you will expect. It's just become this big thing that you couldn't cope with at the time, so you're never going to be able to cope with, and it's just going to be harder and harder the longer you go on. Actually, that's not true. It is much, much easier than you think. So please, talk to somebody, seek some help if this is where you're at the moment. And that's me for this week. And I will try to be more timely next week. Hopefully I'll have had enough sleep and recovered. And until then, take care of yourself. Bye.